All right, so today I want to talk about the before and after of financial freedom. I think it's really intriguing when you actually hear stories of people that became financially free, and I'm going to share my story of exactly those feelings because I remember 11 years ago, I used to say a decade ago, now I say 11 years ago, which is kind of weird. I'm getting old, man, and it's going fast. Every single year I think like it's slowing down, and then I look backwards, I'm like, man, this is getting faster and faster and faster, and man, I got to get this, I got to really, really apply myself, which I've thought the last 11 years, essentially, to get myself in a position of financial freedom. And so we finally did. And it's been an amazing transition of the before and after. And I'm going to share behind the scenes of like the truth behind everything, because I think a lot of people don't get the truth on social media. They see the glitz and the glam and just like, oh, I live on a beach every single day of my life and I do nothing besides hang out with my friends and travel the world. I'm going to share the reality of the before and the after. And I will say the after is much better, but I'm going to share the insights in this podcast. And so I want to walk through a few things. Is like the before, what was the before, right? Is like 23 years old, let's call it 22 years old, not having a clue about financial education, not having a clue about the potential I had. And a lot of people stay there their whole lives. Most of them never even get to that because they can't fight through resistance, and they stay in the before forever, and they never actually achieve the after. And it's really sad because it's really doable. And I'm not anything special here, guys. I'm the everyday person showing people every single day. I've shown 1,400 people in Budget Dog Academy how to become financially free. And they are people every single day, just like you, becoming financially free as a result. And this isn't rocket science. This isn't craziness. This is through my national bestseller, The Roadmap to Financial Freedom, A Millionaire's Guide to Building Automated Wealth. Simple stuff, fundamental stuff that works. And if you apply it, you'll become financially free as well. And really, through Budget Dog Academy, we have a lot of befores, but we have more and more afters. And it's really cool to start to see that play out because it's only been open for 2 years. So you don't become financially free in 2 years unless you're well along your way and we get you over that hump, right? And so the Academy is setting people up for 5, 10, 15 years of financial freedom without question. And that's in action right now. But it takes time. It's only been open for 2 years, like I said. But most people never get through this spot because they can't fight resistance. And I was reading a book called Driven the other day. Great book. Highly recommend it for any high achievers out there. And they talked about neuropeptide Ys. And they talked about this being an amino acid, essentially, that the resilient and the brave and the strong and the courageous type of people out in the world have. They have more of this amino acid because it allows people to bounce back quicker. And I've never tested my neuropeptide Y by any means, but I will say that I am able to bounce back from disaster, defeat, whatever the case is, big losses all the time. Like it's not even on my, like once I lose, like it's already behind me. It doesn't even it's not even registered in my brain. I'm like, okay, what's next? Let's fix this. Let's figure out the W here. And so, we've gone through a story of ourselves with my daughter of just defeat after defeat after defeat. And that destroys families, destroys marriages. It destroys families. It destroys people. And we're not about that. We're not going to let this overtake us with Dravet syndrome. In fact, the strides that we have made with Dravet syndrome have not only impacted us, but have impacted other people in the Dravet community. And we are raising $1 million for Dravet syndrome, which is a huge feat that we have. And we're already $90,000 of the way there. And we've only been doing this for a couple months, about 6 months, the beginning of 2024. We are going to change the course of Dravet syndrome, but it's because of the fight and the resilience we have and potentially the neuropeptide Ys that we have more of in our situation to get to the point that we want to get to with that. And that's the same case with everything in life. And so it goes back to the whole financial freedom aspect is we looked at this as a challenge at 22 years old. I didn't come from financial, a background. My wife didn't either. I had student debt. We had a car debt. We had loans all over the place. The bed we slept in. It wasn't like we were set up with just this exact pathway to success. It wasn't like this book, The Roadmap to Financial Freedom, was born at that point in time. I had no idea. Now we're national bestsellers showing people all over the world of exactly how to do so. And so the biggest thing behind this entire process is understanding that you have to be resilient. You have to be able to suffer, defeat. You have to be able to suffer and be able to get back on your feet and be able to get yourself back in action and gear to get the actual result that you're wanting to get. And so I think the biggest part of this entire thing that holds most people back is just starting. Like, it's as simple as that. Can you get started? Because setting yourself up with a financial roadmap that we talk about in Budget Dog Academy all the time is the hardest part. Once you get that, the rest is much easier. Because I always talk about the levels of financial freedom, as I've had in my podcast episode before. There's 3 of them. The first one is getting started. It's getting set up. It's seeing the end goal. It's mapping everything out. It's not actually achieving the financial freedom, but it's showing you the pathway of the roadmap to financial freedom. Literally the name of my book. When you have that, that's level 1. Level 2, you become a little more free. Level 3 is you're totally free, essentially in a nutshell. And so level 1 is the hardest piece. If you don't set yourself up, you're never going to achieve financial freedom. You're always going to be sitting in the before stage, and you're never going to get past this. And I don't want you guys to do that. And the thing is, when you realize it's much easier than people make it out to be, you'll understand that once you get past this stage, you'll understand why I'm saying that. The initial stages of our situation were the nerves that we had with our finances. So initially we set out on a stage to get financially free for the sake of being financially free and being free from a boss and free from, we knew we would have kids eventually and all that kind of stuff. And around the age of 30, we had our first Logan Lee. And this is where Dravet syndrome comes into play. And so the nerves behind that, because we weren't financially free, but we had a kid that had a significant syndrome that 1 in 16,000 kids experience, and a large majority don't make it to adulthood. And so initially, when we got that diagnosis, we could have sat there and sulked. We could have sat there and been, complainers and whiners and saying, well, woe is me. We don't do that because we're winners. And we don't have a loser victim mentality. It's not how we were born and raised. My parents didn't raise me with financial education, but they did raise me with a good winning mentality that no matter what happens, you will overcome it if you decide to. It's a choice. And there's external factors that are always going to play a role, but you have to understand internally what you're about and how you're going to persevere through that. Same with my wife's family. My in-laws are great. They're the same exact kind of mentality. And it's bled down to my wife and I. It's in our genes, in fact. And so we were nervous. I'm not going to say we weren't nervous when my daughter and we had this massive issue. We were never expecting it. It was our first child. And it was I could go into details as to what we deal with on a daily basis that would just destroy people. I can tell you that right now. But we're warriors. We don't lose. And in fact, they call Dravet kids warriors because they are. My daughter is an absolute warrior, what she goes through every single day. It's not just like every once in a while, it's every single day, the fights and battles we deal with on a daily basis. But those nerves are a good thing. And if you utilize, let's call it, defined negative emotions by society as a good thing, you'll change your life forever. And so we could have sat there and been nervous for the sake of being nervous and let it deteriorate us, our well-being, our health, all that kind of stuff. Woe is me victim mentality. We could have gone that direction. We had a choice. We decided to make that propel us into true financial freedom because at the time we weren't financially free. We were close. We were well past the $1 million mark, but we were not financially free. And so we were working towards that journey. But when we got the diagnosis, I was even on record saying, I will retire my wife in 12 months. And we've talked about that publicly about this all the time. And we did. 363 days later, my wife was retired because we chose to. And the more and more you believe in yourself and the more and more that you start to think this way and you listen to this podcast and you get around people that think this way, you'll start to believe that for yourself too. You got to build the confidence. It's a momentum thing. It doesn't happen overnight. The confidence I have now is not going to be the confidence I have in 20 years. It's going to be a lot greater. And it will get better and better and better and better because I train myself every single day to think that way. And so you're going to be faced with a lot of stuff in this before stage. I can tell you that right now. We did a lot. It's stressful, right? The constant weight that sits on you because you're free and you literally do not have control of your life. That's a scary feeling. That's a really scary feeling. I remember at Deloitte, man, oh my gosh, specifically, I was at Deloitte for 14-hour days. Like literally it was all day. This was before kids. And I told Aaron, I was like, I'm not going to live this life for our children, but I'm going to sacrifice right now to put myself in a position later to be in a really, really good spot. So when we have kids, you can stay home and all these kind of things if you would like. And we had these discussions for years. And I remember specifically one night, it was during busy season. When we define busy season, let's call it January through April, 4 months out of the year, even maybe into May, depending on the client. And we would work, let's say, pretty much 7 o'clock every single day morning to about 9 o'clock at night. So if you put that into perspective, let's say my client was about 30 minutes to an hour away commute as well. So not only do you have to work 14 hours, you don't have many, that leaves you 10 hours, right, for the rest of the day. 2 of those hours are commute. So now you're down to 8 hours. Oh, you have to sleep. Remember that? There was a point in time where we would do this for 4 months straight every single year for 7 years. And my wife would literally, for those 4 months, she was amazing. Erin's freaking fantastic. She would cook my meals. She would have them ready, prepped in the refrigerator. So I would in my lunch bag for the next day. So I wasn't spending money. I wasn't eating out and stuff. I was eating healthy as well. So she would have all that stuff ready. I would come home. I'd pack my gym bag for the next morning because I would wake up way earlier to get to the gym before. I was not going to sacrifice my health through work. And so we would go to the gym. I would wake up basically in the morning, kiss my wife goodbye. I would go to the gym. I would go straight to work. I'd work 14 straight hours. I would be eating all the food that she's provided me throughout the day. I would come home and she'd probably be in bed. And I would go straight to bed and I would do the same thing over and over and over. And we did that for 7 years. A lot of people can't handle that. In fact, I was one of 25 people standing when I left of my starting class. And so even that, I don't even think that was that challenging in fact. I was able to overcome that pretty easily. But the biggest thing is understanding that I did not have control over my life at that point in time. And I was so locked into getting out of that because I remember specifically this busy season night. I was sitting in the audit room about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Specifically, I remember this 31. It was 8:32, I think it was. And my boss, who was a senior manager at the time, was saying that he's going to go call his kids to put him to bed. That was the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my life. And I didn't have kids at the time. And I can't imagine now even having kids, the feeling that goes through your body when you had to call them to put them to bed from an office 45 minutes away. And so I was appalled by that. I remember walking out that night. It was a cold February, and it was just snowy and sleet all over the parking lot. There was a little light in the parking lot. It was just my car and like maybe an audit, maybe one of the younger staff. And I was like sitting in the car. I sat there for about 5 minutes and just stared like out. I was like, what is life? What are we doing? What is the purpose of this shit? And I got so infuriated. I called my wife and I said, we are done. And that was that defining moment that it was like, okay, I know we were working to financial freedom, but man, we really kicked it into gear at that point in time. This was the before stage. And again, it was one of those beaten down days where most people would go sulk and cry and go to bed and, complain about their life and how miserable everything is. Or you can use those defining moments to propel yourself forward. And that's exactly what we did. And that was our before. Now you fast forward to current day. And I can tell you what happened yesterday. And I think this is an amazing thing that's happened. It happens all the time and pretty much every single day. I get to wake up and I eat breakfast with my daughters and my wife. There is no boss. My wife has zero boss. We're here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. It's an amazing neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods in the area. We absolutely love it. It has things galore for kids, multiple pools, multiple playgrounds, It's an incredible place to be. And my kids have access to everything. My wife doesn't have a job, doesn't have a boss, can focus on Logan's health, which is the whole purpose of her being home. Truly, I'm doing this full time. Enjoying my time. Really, truly, it's peaceful. There's a sense of peace and calm and serenity that I have that I've never had before. And while we're very hyper focused on getting her to the best health ever possibly, potentially, it's still, there's a sense of peace and freedom that we have that we've never had before. And it never initially felt like this. It felt like we were just getting punched in the mouth day after day for a freaking decade, for 10 years. But those people that can persevere, maybe they got those neuropeptide Ys. I don't know. Maybe it's just an amino acid that some people have and some people don't, and you need to go get therapy to make sure you have that to overcome all this stuff. I don't know. But regardless of what it is, if you're able to overcome stuff for a longer period than the next person, you have resistance like no other person has, you will eventually get to this after stage. It is not going to be easy. And that's why there's very few people that ever reach this. In fact, 10% in the book, I read the book, about 10% of human population has the driven gene in general, which is encompassing a lot of stuff, right? But just being driven, highly driven people, the warriors, the presidents, the innovators, all those type of, bigwig people we come to see and listen to and talk to, there's a very small portion of the population that ever get to this point. So a lot of people don't even know it's possible. They don't care. They don't have the momentum. They don't have the motivation, whatever the case is. All sorts of different reasons. And so most people never will reach this. And I would even say of the 10% that are driven, maybe 5% ever actually reach true financial freedom at any point in their life. And that's based on basic statistics and data out there. But, there's a lot of reasons as to why you can. If you'll find it, you can easily find a reason why you can. Like I promise you, if you want to go find a reason, you'll find a reason why you can't become financially free. Promise you. It's really easy, actually. And so if you block all that stuff out and you focus on what matters, you will get to this after stage, which is peaceful, which is purposeful, which is the power of choice. And that's where we're at today, currently. And I want to walk you guys through what looks like, what life looks like on truly after financial freedom. So on a daily basis, I wake up, I eat breakfast with my daughters, I eat breakfast with my wife. I really spend quality time from, when they wake up is around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or whatever the case is. My one daughter wakes up at about 6, one daughter wakes up about 7, but I'm pretty much with them from about 6 to 8. That's a good solid 2 hours. And then I, go off, I might go to the gym, I might go to my boxing trainer, I might go work, I might be filming a podcast like I'm doing right now, I might do a YouTube video, I might work with my students, all sorts of different things I could be doing with Budget Dog. I have an entire team to do most of this stuff. So I built a team around me, so I really have the power of choice even within my own business, and I can focus on what matters, right? And so great people on the team, just operating at a high level, giving the best results to my students. And I understand that I can come in here and look at a high level and say what needs to be done today, what needs to be fixed, what people need help. And I can be driven with a purpose. And so not only am I helping students every day and filming this content to get through people's heads that they can do this stuff. Like, you can do this. If you guys want to apply for Budget Dog Academy, go in the show notes below and apply today. Make this your reality. It's not going to come easy. It will take multiple years. It will work, though. Like, I guarantee it will work. If you put your mind to it, it will work. That's on you. And so the purpose I have now is not only to give back to people in my academy, my students, and ultimately my second family, is what I call them, is to give the people that work for me a great life as well. There's an immense sort of pressure to provide, not only for my family now, which we've done, we've hit the financial freedom number. I don't have to make another dollar the rest of my life, and I'm good. But now I need to provide for my second family, which is my all the people that work for me, all my students. I got a lot of love for them, a lot of love for each and every one of them. And if you're listening, I love you as well. And so I got deep passion for that. But it comes because I'm okay to focus on what matters. And I want to get this point across, and I don't know how many times I'm going to say it until it gets across, but when you have a sense of peace and you have a sense of serenity and you know that money is, you're not reliant on money. I don't have to go make money. I don't have to go sell anybody. I don't have to go tell people to join my academy. Yeah, it's a costly program because I have to pay a bunch of people. But there is no need for me to have that money. And so I don't sit here and think, I got to get X amount of sales today. I got to do this. I got to do that. I don't care. Like, I want to help the people that want to be helped. I want to put people that want to change their family tree forever in the best position possible. I want to change your life, and I will, because I like it. I'm purposeful. I'm driven in that aspect. I don't care about the dollars at this point. I could go buy, I talked to my brother. Yesterday I was sitting in the pool on a Monday afternoon. And yesterday I woke up, hung out with my daughters, went to boxing, went to the pool with my brother, just hung out with him. He's in town for a little bit. And I was talking about this. He was like, man, you make a lot, you've had tons of money. What's your next goal? And I go, give back. He's like, you could go buy a new house. You could do, I'm like, I don't need that stuff. And he knew that. He was just kind of bringing it up. He's like, you could literally go do anything you want. I'm like, yeah, we could. And I was like, the number one thing, there's three main things. Number one is getting Logan in the best health possible. And so us getting to the proper treatments, traveling around the world in order to get her the proper treatments, number one, without question, bar none. Number two is to help my students become what they want to become and show them the pathway and the roadmap to this financial freedom I'm referring to right this second. I want you to experience this. I want you to get back, give your talents to the world, because that's what matters in this world, is being able to give back and make impact. That's my number 2 goal. My number 3 goal is to give $1 million to Dravet syndrome for bigger impact there as well, which is the syndrome my daughter has. And if you guys want to donate to that, feel free to in the show notes below. You will be included in our $1 million Dravet initiative. So there's all sorts of different goals that we have, but a lot of those are external now. They're not, we've hit our internal goals that we want to hit, the financial freedom. I don't really care about that. There's no, when you get to this level, there's nothing internally that I need anymore. That's a selfish way to look at it. And honestly, it does not bring any contentment or any joy to me. If I go buy a new Lamborghini, if I go do this, if I go do that, there's literally zero satisfaction in that. In fact, like I get zero. And in fact, it might become a detriment to me personally, because I'd have to like pay attention. If I had a bigger house, I'd have more cleaning, more maintenance, more, responsibility. If I had a newer car, what if somebody dings me in the parking lot? I hate that. Like I would drive around with my car for the rest of my life and I'd be good with it. I would live in the same house I'm living in and I'd be good with it for the rest of my life. I don't need that stuff because it brings nothing to me besides more stress with that. If I could live in a box, I probably would. I joke about that a lot, but I'm really minimalist at heart. I do not like stuff. I do not like stuff. I think it distracts. I think the biggest thing is it distracts people from what matters, which is purpose, which is this area I'm in right now, which is the after stage of financial freedom. And the impact somebody can make when they're financially free is life-changing. In fact, I'm able to give $1 million to Dravet syndrome. I'm able to give my daughter the best healthcare in the nation. I'm able to give thousands of people and counting the financial freedom they really, really want. That means so much more. And so there is stress around that, in fact. And so I don't think anybody ever talks about this, because a lot of people think of financial freedom as like this goal you hit and then you just like coast and you do nothing. That is like the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, people that have that dream to literally sit on a beach and drink margaritas all day, like those people will never reach financial freedom. Here's why. It's because they're not built to do this. And so the people that are built to build financial freedom go so much bigger and beyond that, because there's so much more purpose than a dollar amount. It's such a worthless type of, like, there's so much meaning and there's so much worthlessness to a dollar, if that makes sense. Like it gives you the life to be able to provide and do other things that are at a higher level. But man, is it pointless to look at a dollar as like a value. It's a tool, in my opinion. And so the people that actually have the chemical makeup, the driven individuals that get to this stage, people are like, well, why do you charge money if you're financially free? They ask all these stupid questions. Why do you work if you're financially free? Purpose. And when you get to this level, which most of those individuals asking that question will never get to this level. And yes, I have a ton of free resources if you don't want to pay money. Tons of it. In fact, I've given up free content for 5 years. My time is valuable. My time is real valuable. And every single second I'm speaking on a podcast, YouTube, putting out content, building the posts behind the scenes that take hours. All of that stuff takes time. That's money. And so when I build this, I figure out a roadmap. Yeah, I'm charging a pretty penny for this because I will get you the results, and ROI is going to be 100x. And I know that because I put in the decade of work. And so people ask me those silly questions all the time, but the reality is I'm here to make a massive impact. And when you pay to play, I take that money and I put it towards a good purpose in life, and I better the world as a result. And a lot of people never think about that. They want to get to this financial freedom for selfish levels, and they want to be stress-free forever. It's peaceful, man. There's serenity, but there's also some stress with it because I have a bigger calling and bigger purpose. And if I sit here and just think about myself and not think about my daughter, Dravet syndrome, my students, it is a very meaningless existence. And I don't think many people understand that. And I think once people understand that and they understand what's the bigger purpose behind this whole thing, is I'm 32. I got hopefully 60, 70 years left, hopefully 70. That'd put me at over 100 years old, to be able to give back. So most of my life, I'll be able to put myself in a position early on to give back most of my life. Like, you can give back when you're not financially free. You can do service. I used to do the service hours in high school and win those awards every single year, 40 plus hours, right? I did all these things growing up. But now it's not just time, it's real impact, it's real money, because money drives this world whether we like it or not. And I don't know if this was the expectation listening to this podcast of the before and after of financial freedom, but I hope it hit a very, very good point today, because I want people to realize that the whole purpose of getting to financial freedom is that's not your end goal. That's not the stopping point. That's not I'm just chilling on a beach sipping margaritas. This is your opportunity to use your talents to better the world, and you can do that if you choose to do so today. And when you get over that initial selfishness reasoning of financial freedom, and you achieve it truly because you fight through that resistance because you know that the purpose is bigger than yourself, you're going to hit a whole nother, what's the best word to say, contentment or peace or serenity of being able to give back and spend your time giving back. Such a better value of your time, such a more meaningful impact of your time. And so again, some of you guys might be listening to this, man, I thought this was going to be just like sunshine and rainbows and hanging out on the beach. Well, it can be if you want it to be, but if you really wanted to take it to the next level and you really want to help a lot of people and you really want to make impact and what's the big meaning behind life, man, this is how you do it. You become financially free so you can, in order to do that, you can focus on your passions, you can focus on giving back, you can focus on your talents. And I want everybody that's listening to this to experience this. And if you need help doing this, guys, I have a solution for you with Budget Dog Academy. Apply. It's not a cheap investment, but it's an investment nonetheless to get you in a spot that you need to be long-term. And the ROI is grand. Go talk to 1,500 other people that have done the same thing. You'll see the results, the net worth wins, the financial freedom, multiple millionaires. Guys, it's happening every single day, and it's on you to change your life if you want to. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody, and I will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to Money on My Mind with your host, Brendan Schlagbaum. If you found value in today's discussion, share it with someone who could benefit from it too. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss a money mastery tip. Until next time, stay passionate about your financial journey and keep taking bold steps towards your money goals.